performance. Upon hearing Heidel's words, the dean asks, "By Luin, do you mean Luin Ardell, Professor Heidel?" To think he was still attending the academy. In that case, considering his passion, let's sit down. Luin's turn also comes to give the practical exam, and he is very confident because he also needs to test his new strength, and for him, this exam is an opportunity. Professor Elric tells him to start his exam, and with great confidence, Luin casts fireballs in both hands, the size of the fireballs being so large that they surround Luin from all sides. All the professors and students are astonished to see his fireball cast, because his casting speed is very fast. However, Mikkel becomes annoyed seeing his casting. While other students behind him are praising Luin's casting, he tells them that don't you know about Luin's Mana Evocation Disorder, and even if he can cast more than 100 times faster, he still won't be able to hit the target because he's a useless trash who can't do anything. On the other hand, Luin is full of confidence and activates his new skill called Time Refraction, which distorts and refracts time for 30 seconds. With the help of this skill, he gains acceleration equal to 200 times his strength, making his movements much faster. This enables him to move beyond distorted time, and it has a cooldown of 5 minutes. He recently acquired this real skill, which allows him to move normally to any location he desires for 30 seconds, or in other words, he becomes a typhoon due to the skill. He moves with such speed aided by his power, hitting one target after another. His performance leaves everyone, including the professors and even the dean, astonished. The targets are left severely damaged, and Luin hits 27 targets, setting a new high score in the Academy's history. All the students are amazed by his performance, and even his examiner begins to doubt his powers. The dean is so delighted with Luin's performance that he stands up and starts applauding, praising him. The classmates who used to criticize him before are now cheering him on, boosting his morale and congratulating him. Mikkel, however, becomes even more infuriated by his performance. On the other hand, Luin feels overwhelmed by the praises of his classmates because nothing like this has ever happened in the past 6 years, and he always craved such recognition. But Professor Elric fails to acknowledge Luin's happiness as he begins to criticize, saying that hitting targets while casting magic in this manner is a technique they have never heard of before. And with that matter at hand, all the professors convene for a meeting where Elric presents his viewpoint. However, Professor Heidel supports Luin, stating that magic is a limitless realm of infinite possibilities. But Professor Elric remains displeased with his statement, and before he could say anything further about Luin, the dean intervenes, signaling to stop, and declares, "Today I saw a miracle created by a student, and it was a flawless miracle of magic." Professor Elric feels deeply frustrated by Luin's performance, but he can't say anything further in front of the dean. On the other hand, in a hall, several classmates of Luin stand, including Jason, who hugs Luin joyfully, announcing to everyone that the Archmage is coming. All the standing students begin praising Luin for his exam performance. However, Luin feels uncomfortable with the behavior of the students standing with Jason because until recently they considered him a loser. Additionally, people are happy that his performance has changed everything for him overnight, even for a perceived loser like him. Feeling uneasy, Luin heads towards his room, where he encounters Mikkel and asks him what he's doing in his room. Mikkel, still annoyed by his exam performance, warns Luin not to get too excited in front of him, or it won't end well. Luin, remaining calm, firmly grabs Mikkel's hand and gently turns it downwards, showcasing his strength. This leaves Mikkel speechless, realizing Luin's power. Luin stays composed and suggests that if Mikkel is so eager to fight, they should settle it in a fair combat, similar to the exam, to resolve matters. Both exchange heated words, and then Mikkel storms out of Luin's room, seething with anger and feeling superior to Luin. He's convinced that Luin will fail in today's exam. As the day progresses, it's time for the second practical exam in the afternoon, which takes place at the Mana Output Measurement exam site. there stands a colossal ogre statue, a treasure of the Academy, and a rare artifact known as Ancient Ogre Kingram. 500 years ago, the Ogre Kingram was transformed into this artifact while still alive by the Archmage Freud. Trapped within the artifact, Kingram absorbs the magician's mana and acts as a kind of magical target. In this mana output measurement exam, students are required to cast magic on Kingram and achieve a high score. The professor initiates the exam, but there's an atmosphere of anxiety among the students because they know that channeling their maximum power into the statue and reaching a score of 20 is considered a very high achievement. One by one, students hit the statue with their best spells, and the statue mocks their powers because none of the students can perceive its true strength. As a result, the statue becomes a source of ridicule for all the students. Then it's Mikkel's turn. With great confidence, he approaches the statue and tries to utilize his powers to their fullest. However, even then, the statue remains unimpressed by his power. And then it's Luin's turn after Mikkel. Unlike before, Luin isn't as confident this time, feeling a bit nervous. However, he refuses to let his nervousness get the better of him and casts a fireball in his hand. As Luin approaches, the statue starts conversing with him, telling him that it's the first time it's seen his face. As they talk, Luin's fireball slowly grows larger, much to the surprise of his classmates, who find it astonishing as it seems like some kind of Class 4 magic, which they consider impossible. Luin casts his fireball, propelling it swiftly towards the statue, landing a direct hit as it soars through the air. His classmates are astounded by his feat, with wide eyes and gaping mouths, considering Luin to be at least a level 5 magician. After the direct hit, Luin feels quite exhausted, but reassures himself that his mana burn explosion worked well. However, he's a bit puzzled by Kingbram's strange reaction. Breaking its silence, the statue of Kingbram asks Luin who he is. Luin apologizes and reintroduces himself, explaining that he had already introduced himself earlier. Upon hearing the statue's words, Luin faints, as it claims to have been waiting for him for quite some time. This declaration leaves both Luin and the other students baffled. Luin, too, finds himself perplexed by the statue's statement. Despite his extensive research on Draka over the past 2 months, he hadn't come across any significant information. Seeking answers, Luin questions Kingbram about itself. However, the statue refrains from responding, gesturing to the surrounding students, indicating that they can all hear its words, but it will explain later. Upon hearing Luin's examiner express concern about scoring, he questions the statue. However, it states, "The evaluation ends here. This magic is not something I can judge." The examiner's jaw drops upon hearing this, and he turns to his uncle, mentioning that according to the school rules, they must be informed, as this contract has been ongoing for the past 500 years since the death of Archmage Freud. Upon hearing this, Kingbram becomes visibly angry, prompting the examiner to apologize. However, he changes his mind and agrees to reveal the score, asking Luin directly whether he prefers a 0 score or a 100 score, calling him Little Destroyer. Luin, delighted by this, opts for 100 points, and he receives them. After the exam, all the students gather in the hall, where discussions revolve solely around Luin's performance. They marvel at how Kingbram awarded him a perfect score, which was a rarity, as Kingbram rarely awarded even 10 points. Some praise Luin, while others seem jealous of his success. Professor Heidel also approaches Luin, commencing praise for his performance and informing him that news of his perfect score has already reached the dean's office. He mentions that when the dean heard about it, he expressed a desire to reward Luin, as such an event has never occurred before. They hand Luin a scroll and depart. Luin is astonished at this revelation, as despite being in the Academy for the past 6 years, he had never heard of such a hidden place before. Upon hearing Luin's surprise, the professor explains that this is the only place where entry is prohibited. Luin arrives at the gate of a room, feeling confused about why he's there. He asks the professor if this is the entrance to the artifact room, and if only he can go inside. The professor confirms, urging him to enter alone while they wait outside. Opening the gate, Luin steps inside, feeling a bit anxious. Inside the artifact room, he sees several iron statues on both the left and right sides, with a shadow looming ahead. The room resembles a magic warehouse, reminiscent of Archmage Luin Ignit's style. Luin finds himself lost in his thoughts when he hears a voice behind him. He turns around and sees King Bram's figure amidst the shadows. King Bram tells him, "You don't yet know your true worth." At first, Luin is startled to see King Bram there and wonders why he's there. But then he questions why King Bram is no longer just a stone statue. King Bram dispels his confusion, explaining that this is the only place where he's allowed to use his body, thanks to the ancient mana that fills this room. Luin is perplexed by King Bram's words and asks about his true worth, to which King Bram responds that Luin doesn't even know his true value. Rather, he's using the artifact just like Draka, the player. This revelation leaves Luin stunned. King Bram then inquires how Luin obtained this rare artifact and what his relationship with Draka is. However, Luin himself doesn't have answers to these questions, which he admits to King Bram. King Bram begins to explain how Draka aspired to become a god-like figure during a visit to the Skypeak tribe, King Bram's own tribe. Despite Draka's small stature at the time, his power was immense, surpassing even that of his fellow tribe members. As time passed, Draka's strength continued to grow, and despite facing numerous attacks from ogres, he remained undefeated. As a result, the ogres began to respect him, and he started living among them, eventually becoming a member of their tribe. Draka even appointed King Bram as the next tribal chief and taught him both language and magic over nearly a century. Luin, hearing King Bram's explanation, becomes fascinated, wondering how a human being could live for 100 years. King Bram clears up his confusion by revealing that he wasn't a human being but a black dragon from Dracagania. He further explains that the origin of magic was through dragons. King Bram explains to Luin that despite being so powerful, Draka couldn't use magic. Therefore, he adopted a new fighting style like Luin's, incorporating magic into his hands and feet. These abilities were exclusive to Draka, and due to their use, he became stronger than any other being in the world. However, he remained unsatisfied and sought to expand his power infinitely. But in the end, he destroyed everything and destroyed himself. Luin gets extremely excited as he couldn't have imagined the extent of Draka's strength to be capable of destroying the entire world and even himself. As they converse, a status window suddenly appears, revealing to Luin that he has achieved a breakthrough in tracing Draka's traces. He receives some rewards, including a title called Ogre's Friend, and skills such as Ogre's Fury Spirit and Incarnation of Power. Another status window reveals that due to the title Ogre's Friend, Luin will be safe from hostility from ogres, allowing him to communicate with them. Additionally, with the skill Ogre's Fury, he can borrow the power of an enraged ogre, temporarily boosting his own strength. This enhancement lasts for 300 to 430 seconds, with the effect gradually increasing over time under the influence of body arts. The cooldown period for this skill is 3 minutes. The powers and the new skill seem promising to Luin, and he's intrigued by the sudden appearance of the crystal-like ball in his hand. Upon seeing it, King Bram stands from his throne, and upon being questioned by Luin, he tells him that Draka always kept it with him. While explaining, he says, "This guy is an incarnation of power. Although he is called a spirit, he is different from normal spirits. He has a nasty temper, and would ask Draka for infinite power every day. However, if you satisfy his desire, he will also promise you infinite power." He also says that there is no need to worry too much, and it looks like he is going to wake up now. The crystal ball held in Luin's hand begins to crack like an egg and starts to glow, and from within emerges a bear. Upon hearing this, bear gets angry but starts shouting at him. Luin finds his behavior very strange because he appears to be a small, cute bear cub, and the bear tells him, "How dare you compare me to a bear?" and explains that he is an incarnation who can take on any form he desires. He says, Wait, let me show you my power, and his eyes begin to sparkle. He tries very hard but cannot do anything and ends up confused about